The observation deck of the Celestial Harmony hummed with the nervous energy of 24 cadets from across the Galactic Coalition. Aaliyah stood near the reinforced viewport, her dark eyes reflecting the swirling nebula outside, while her classmates chattered excitedly about the upcoming combat simulation. "I heard the Crithian instructor scored 8,000 points on this exercise," chirped Velrix, his crystalline form refracting the ambient light. "My nest brother managed 6,000. "Impressive," clicked Tavara through her translation implant, her chitinous plates gleaming. "Though my clutch sister achieved 7,200. The Xanthari pride themselves on tactical superiority." Aaliyah said nothing. She adjusted her uniform's collar and checked her equipment one final time. Sean, the only other human in their cohort, caught her eye from across the deck. He gave her a slight nod, the kind of wordless communication that passed between Earthborn without fanfare. No boasting, no declarations, just acknowledgement. "What about you, Aaliyah?" Velrix turned his attention to her. "What scores do humans typically achieve? Your species only joined the Coalition 3 cycles ago. Surely you must be eager to prove yourselves." "We'll see," Aaliyah replied simply. Velrix's luminescence flickered with what might have been amusement. "So humble. Is this a human cultural trait? Every species in the Coalition celebrates their warriors' achievements. The Crithians compose light songs. The Xanthari erect monuments. Even the peaceful Melnari maintain detailed genealogies of their greatest defenders. Humans just do the job," Sean offered from his corner, his voice level. "How peculiar," Tavara observed. "No songs, no records." "Oh, we keep records," Sean said quietly. "We just don't talk about them much." Before anyone could press further, Instructor Vorthak entered, a massive Drachnor whose scales had earned their deep purple hue through centuries of service. "Cadets, the simulation begins in 10 minutes. Today's scenario: defend supply station Kepler 442 from hostile raiders. You'll face realistic combat conditions, adaptive enemies, and limited resources. The Coalition's top score stands at 8,400 points. The cadets buzzed with excitement. Aaliyah and Sean remained silent, running through mental checklists. 5 hours later, the observation deck had fallen eerily quiet. Aaliyah emerged from the simulation pod, her face neutral despite the exhaustion pulling at her shoulders. Sean exited his pod moments later, rolling his neck to work out the tension. Instructor Vorthak's translator implant sputtered. He tapped it twice, then stared at his datapad as if it had personally offended him. "There must be a calibration error." "What's wrong?" Velrix asked, rushing forward. "Did the humans fail? It's understandable. They're new to Coalition combat protocols." "No." Vorthak's deep voice resonated with something that might have been awe. "No, they did not fail." The instructor pulled up the holographic display. Numbers materialized in the air, and a collective gasp rippled through the assembled cadets. Aaliyah, 24,680 points. Sean, 26,340 points. "That's impossible," Tavara whispered. "The simulation's maximum theoretical score is 30,000. No one has ever exceeded 9,000. "I've run diagnostics," Vorthak confirmed. "The simulation functioned perfectly. These scores are legitimate." Velrix's crystalline body had lost its luminescence entirely, a sign of profound shock among his people. But how? What combat techniques do humans possess that we don't know about?" Aaliyah shrugged, accepting a water container from a nearby service drone. "We just did what needed doing." "That's not an answer." Tavara's clicks intensified with agitation. "The Coalition has shared all combat knowledge across species. We trained together, used the same equipment, the same tactics. How did you score 3 times higher than anyone in recorded history?" Sean and Aaliyah exchanged another look. This one carried weight. the burden of a truth they both knew but had hoped to avoid explaining. "You want to access our combat records?" Sean asked quietly. "Yes," several cadets shouted at once. Instructor Vorthak's claws moved across his datapad. "I'm pulling up Earth's military database now. Perhaps there are training methods we can all learn from—" He stopped. The holographic display flickered, and a single word appeared in harsh red letters. "Classified, Galactic Coalition Security Level Omega." "What is this?" Vorthak demanded. "I have instructor-level clearance. There shouldn't be anything I cannot access for educational purposes." A second notification appeared. "Human Combat History. Restricted by Coalition Council Order. 7749. Reason, psychological protection of non-human species. Inquiry logged. Council notified." The room fell absolutely silent. "Psychological protection?" Velrix's voice had become a barely audible whisper. "What does that mean?" Aaliyah set down her water. She looked around at the assembled cadets, beings from dozens of worlds, all staring at her and Sean with a mixture of confusion and dawning unease. "The Coalition has been at peace for 400 years, she said softly. "Most species achieved spaceflight during peaceful eras. Your wars were brief, manageable. You learned cooperation quickly." "And humans?" Tavara asked. Sean's jaw tightened. "Humans spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of war. Not because we wanted to, because we had to. We fought across every terrain, in every condition, with every imaginable weapon and tactic. We fought each other for so long that we documented everything. Studied it, refined it. The Coalition Council reviewed Earth's military history when we applied for membership," Aaliyah continued. "They decided that certain details should remain classified. Not because humans are dangerous to the Coalition, we're not. But because knowing what we survived, what we did to survive, might be disturbing to species who've known mostly peace." Vorthak's scales had paled to lavender. His claws trembled slightly as they hovered over his datapad. "How many wars has humanity fought?" "We stopped counting at some point," Sean admitted. "Thousands, maybe tens of thousands, depending on how you define war." "And you don't brag about your combat achievements because—" Velrix prompted. Aaliyah's expression grew distant, as if seeing through the walls of the ship to something far beyond. "Because bragging about being good at war means you've had too much practice. It means you've lost too much, seen too much, done too much. We're good at this," Sean added quietly, "because we had to be. Because for most of human history, if you weren't good enough at fighting, your people didn't survive. We earned these skills over mountains of our own dead. It's not something we celebrate." The cadet stood frozen, processing this revelation. Finally, Tavara spoke, her clicks soft and careful. "The Coalition chose humans as peacekeepers for the frontier regions. I always wondered why when we had so many species with more experience in space. Now I understand. You weren't chosen despite your newness to space. You were chosen because of what you bring from Earth." Aaliyah nodded slowly. "The Council hopes we'll never need to use what we know. But if something threatens the Coalition, if the peace breaks, they wanted someone who remembers how to fight like survival depends on it. Because for us, it always did." Instructor Vorthak closed his datapad with trembling claws. When he spoke, his voice carried a new weight of respect, and perhaps a touch of relief that humanity had chosen to be allies rather than enemies. "Dismissed, cadets, and let us all be grateful that the humans chose to stop fighting each other and join us among the stars instead." As the others filed out in stunned silence, Velrix paused beside Aaliyah. His luminescence had returned, but dimmer, more subdued. "Your people. Do you think you'll ever forget how to do this? Forget the wars?" Aaliyah looked out at the nebula again, her reflection ghost-like in the viewport. We hope so. We really do. But it takes a lot longer to forget than it does to learn. Sean joined them, and together the two humans stood in silence. Two representatives of a species that had climbed from violence to peace, carrying the weight of history they couldn't erase and skills they prayed they'd never need again. The scanner had marked the truth classified. But the truth remained, written in the scores that spoke louder than any boast ever could. Humanity knew war too well to celebrate it, and that perhaps was the most human thing of all.